Black Monday in the NFL, especially for the Miami Dolphins head coach Flores. He got fired today. We'll tell you about the other firings that have happened and expected to happen. Tommy Chrysan joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood today on the Black Monday edition of Sports Shorts Daily. We'll talk about a guy who's not fired, but a controversial decision nonetheless. Brandon Staley, the head coach of the Chargers, did his decision late in the game, keep them out of the playoffs. We'll talk to TK about that. Saints took care of business in Atlanta. I was there. I'll give you my take on the ATL, but the Rams don't hold up their end of the bargain, and the Saints end up winning, but the Rams blow a 17-point lead against the 49ers, and the Saints will be at home with a 9-8 winning record. Joel Davis pushes his bet with me. That means that he doesn't have to pay and take us to dinner. TK and I will break that down. Also, we've got a new sack champ, Strahan and TJ Watt, amazing record. LSU basketball rolling on, men's and women's, both a big weekend, both highly ranked, both just keep getting better and better. What's next for the Saints? You know, we know that they had a winning record, but they missed the playoffs. What's next for the Saints? We'll get into that and a whole lot more. And the national championship game today, Georgia, Alabama tonight from Indianapolis. TK will have a way you can make some money on that game. He'll tell you about it and a whole lot more. Let's bring in Tommy Chrysan. First off, let's talk a little New Orleans Saints, Tommy. Wasn't pretty, got it done. Trevor Siemian came off the bench for an injured Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill looked really good early on. I mean, he made some nice throws, played well. Guy can't stay on the field, can't stay healthy, and once again, the foot gets him. But Siemian comes off the bench and keeps the train moving, and the Saints with an impressive win and potentially Matt Ryan's final game in Atlanta. Take care of business. And I thought it was a done deal. 17-0 lead, 17-3 lead at halftime. The Rams head coach has never 45-0 when he's led at halftime. But the Rams, 45-1 now.
A bizarre Sunday in the NFL, and we're going to get into that. But probably the thing I'm most disappointed in is that you and Jabstep pushed the bet.
I know.
And I don't get to go get the dinner and the steak, the crab meat, the double shot of whiskey. But anyway, the Saints did what they were supposed to do. Rams did not. By the way, it was announced this morning or late last night, the Rams actually play the Saints in the Superdome next year. They put out the home and away schedules. Also, Joe Burrow plays in the Superdome next year, too.
Nice.
So they don't know the dates, but they always put out the home games and the road games. That's out for every NFL team. The NOLA no call, then the Rams don't take care of business yesterday. It's not going to be fun for the Rams to come in the Dome. But, you know, I like the way Trevor Siemian came in and got it done. You know, the Saints' defense was the name of the game. We talked about that Saturday on the radio. I thought the Saints would win. I thought the defense would be the difference, and it was. But the China Doll quarterback, as you pegged him, I know he threw a couple nice passes before the injury, but, look, I was in a group text. He's not a quarterback. He's not an every down quarterback. Sean Payton's the only person in the world that thinks that.
You know, when a guy – look, they gave Tua a hard time going into the NFL. That was one of the knocks on Tua was can he stay healthy, right? Because he'd been banged up a couple of different times in college. And the thought was, is he going to be big enough, strong enough? Is he going to be able to stay healthy? And where did they come up with that? They came up with that based on his track record, on what had happened in the past. Well, Taysom Hill's a guy who for 4 years in college got hurt every single year. And what's happened in the NFL, even for a guy who plays minimum snaps, I mean the fewest amount of snaps, he still gets hurt. And so, but for whatever reason, they still decide to give this dude a bunch of money. This is going to be the decision that's backfired for him because there's nobody, Tommy, he's not a trade partner. There's nobody out there that's going to trade for Taysom Hill and pay that guy the guaranteed money that you locked him up for. So you're stuck with him. Now, you're going to pay a lot of money for a backup quarterback and for a cute little, Army Swiss knife, do a bunch of different things. But it's just incredible. And I hate it. I mean, great guy, gives a lot of effort. I think there's talent there. There's value there. But, I mean, He's never was healthy before he got to the NFL. He always got hurt, and he's continued to do the same thing anytime he plays any amount of snaps. So I don't know why the NFL overlooked it for Taysom Hill. They surely didn't overlook it for other players.
Well, there's not. I think you make a good point. There's not another team that would want Taysom Hill as their every down quarterback. Okay, and that's subjective. I get that, but and we've seen pro athletes through the decades that just can't get past that injury bug. We've seen college athletes that, Miles Brennan has had a bit of an injury bug issue since day one. We've seen athletes that happens, and Taysom Hill's on that list. And it's just Saints end up 9-8. That's a winning record with 4 different starting quarterbacks. But that quarterback question for next year, and I saw some video of Jameis Winston doing some rehab drills, and so he looks committed to trying to bounce back from his surgery. But I think that's where it starts for the Saints is who and what and how is going to be the quarterback next year. And if it's Jameis Winston, okay, but I got a feeling it's going to be somebody that's not on the Saints roster right now.
Yeah, look, there's going to be so much movement in the NFL. I'll tell you the first guy. I get what are the Packers going to do? Number one, right? Well, what's Aaron Rodgers going to do? Not what the Packers are going to do. When the season's over for him, whenever that is, he said, "I'm going to make an announcement pretty quickly." Don't know what that means, but I would say within a month. Within a month of the season ending, Aaron Rodgers makes a decision on whether he's going to stay in Green Bay or leave. If he stays in Green Bay, what do you do with Love? Okay. Do you commit to Aaron Rodgers? Does Aaron Rodgers give you, okay, I'm staying in Green Bay. We fixed our issues. You can sign me another 3-year deal. I'm here. And at that point, you got to ship Love out of there and get something for him, right? Get a first-round pick, second-round pick, whatever. Well, the Saints would be a buyer there because they liked Love pre-draft. So I would assume that Sean Payton likes Love still. Okay, so that's an option if Aaron Rodgers stays. Obviously, if he goes, you're hoping he picks you, but most likely he's going to go West Coast. He's going to most likely go back that way.
Denver.
Yeah, just somewhere towards the West Coast. He's a Cali guy. He wants to do the Hollywood thing. That's more his mentality. So I'm assume the West Coast. What did the Seahawks do? The Seahawks clearly have got to get it done. Whether there's an issue with Pete Carroll in their QB or whether it's an issue with Seattle and he just wants to move out of there, you've got to make a decision there. Obviously, the Saints will be a player there. There's a lot of guys that are going to be – what's happening in Atlanta? Is Matt Ryan going to retire? What are they going to do with Deshaun Watson in Houston? Are they going to get rid of him, or are they going to just say after the terrible year they've had, hey, until he, one way or the other, we're going to let him play? Are they committed to Tua in Miami? We've heard rumblings that they weren't. They just fired their coach, Coach Flores, today. He went 9-8, Tommy, 9-8 in the NFL after a 1-7 start. Trending positively, turning things around. And Flores got fired. So what does that mean for Tua? Because you just fired. So there's so many changes. But the one thing we know, Taysom Hill's going to be on on the Saints roster. Can't get rid of him.
And we know Sean Payton will be the coach. It's going to be a turbulent offseason in the NFL. Players, coaches, coordinators, and then how many of these coordinators, get a head coaching job. Broncos didn't even wait till Black Monday. They couldn't wait till you got dressed in black to get rid of their coach. They fired him yesterday. Of course, they played Saturday. So if you're one of the people that likes to read the NFL transaction wire, make sure your glasses are clean because you're going to be doing a lot of reading.
Well, by the way, okay, so we know Urban Meyer got let go, right? We know Urban Meyer was the first one. We know Vic Fangio, 3 years. Vic Fangio out, didn't really, 3 different quarterbacks. This year was really, really bad. Okay. The reports are that Nagy is out in Chicago.
He was fired.
So he's out, which is interesting because Ryan Day, Jim Harbaugh, those are the names you're hearing to replace him. Those are giant college football names. Day at Ohio State and Harbaugh at Michigan. They're being thrown around as possible candidates. The one that surprised me is Zimmer. I think Zimmer's a good coach with the Minnesota Vikings. We know he's a great defensive coordinator. they
Well,
obviously
they
made the
fired their
playoffs.
general manager too. I mean,
Yeah.
they wanted like a house cleaning or go in a new direction. The Giants coach, they said he was okay, but then what he did yesterday, 3rd and 9 quarterback sneak, that's not quite trying to win. But and he's getting blasted. And then the Chargers guy, he's got to be fired. If the Chargers guy's not fired, the Chargers will never overcome what happened yesterday.
This is a little Black Monday funeral judge for
You got a jazz funeral guard?
It's just, I feel so bad for these guys. They're getting fired. They're having to walk out of the office with their stuff in a box, Tommy,
And millions of dollars.
and a big check, giant check. Flory's out at
I
Miami.
thought something was wrong with my headset, but you got the brass band from New Orleans going.
We've got Fangio, and this might be it for Vic. Vic's old.
He was one time I was on the Saints staff with Jim Moore.
Urban Meyer, will he ever coach again at any level?
No, he won't.
Zimmer, he'll be back to being a DC. He'll be one of the highest sought-after DCs ever. Nagy gone. Hey, a lot of rumor. Ryan Day, Ohio State to Chicago. That's been a rumor behind the scenes, people on the inside for weeks now. So Ryan Day leaves Ohio State. That's going to be big. We'll see. But I don't. Who you think else? Who you think else?
They got to fire the Chargers coach after what he did. I mean, there are 14 teams in the NFL playoffs, which means there are 18 that ain't. The Chargers, I mean, he said he was trying to change his defensive personnel. Look, you can never prove it, but the Raiders were content for it to be a tie. And somebody said, well, why would you help a team in your division? Well, the Raiders don't necessarily like the Steelers, who ended up being the beneficiary here. So, I mean, that coach just totally took his team out of the playoffs, and I think that's a fireable offense. I mean, you're supposed to, make the playoffs, do what you got to do. Now, and you're in overtime, a 2-minute warning. I mean, the Raiders running the ball. They were going to try like this 69-yard field goal, which wasn't going to be good. And then all of a sudden, Josh Jacobs gets the nice run, and they take it down to 2 seconds, and the guy makes the field goal, and the Chargers are out. Got to fire that guy. I don't know how player in that locker room is going to listen to him.
Okay, so Brandon Staley is the head coach of the Chargers. And Tommy, his explanation was that, they see that right at the moment when they took the timeout with 30 seconds left or whatever, it was a 57-yard field goal. They were at the 49, there was going to be a 57-yard field goal. And it was 3rd and 4. They knew that they were running. They knew that they were already in field goal range to, legitimately have an effort. But they knew they were going to run the football. And they knew with the personnel that was in there that was not their run-stop personnel, that there was a chance they could get the ball closer. So they wanted to put in their run-stop personnel, and that's why he took the timeout. Now, here's the problem. Because everybody's mic'd and there's a million microphones and NFL films everywhere, and I would imagine a memo probably got sent from the NFL or a call made to the coaches early in the week like, hey, don't even think about, just mailing this game in and running the ball, all day long because, we're not doing that. So they were probably warned. They know they can't, with the 2-minute warning, Carr can't be like, hey, we're just going to run it. Y'all just take, think you can't do that, even though that's probably what they wanted to do. So it's the okay corral, Tommy. I mean, I get it. It's like buying game coin early on. Everybody's got a lot of coin holding a gun. Who's going to sell first? I mean, they're sitting there trying to wink and make faces and hoping that they understand from 50 yards away that, hey, we can't say anything. Everybody's looking, everybody's listening. So it was tough. I think it was a situation where the Raiders are sitting there going, okay, we're just content to run the ball, but hell, how the hell do we let them know? And then they're over there trying to interpret signals and going, well, shit, they're in field goal range. They're going to run the football. Like, what do? We got to stop them. We got to keep it a 57-yard field goal. If it becomes a 52, then all of a sudden the percentages go way up that they're going to make it. So, look, I get it that how it's easy to play Monday morning quarterback, Tommy, on that. But there was the Raiders and the Chargers, the Chargers had no idea what's going on. Like that, you can interpret and go, well, I think they're going to just – Nobody knew because you can't have the conversation. Like, even the offensive lineman can't go, hey, man, we're just going to run the ball. Y'all just, chill here. Because the NFL's going to hear. They're going to see. You're going to get fined. There's going to be a giant investigation. All kind of hell's going to break loose because of collusion and rigging games and all that kind of stuff. So I think it was just a situation, Tommy, where they're looking across the field and the Chargers just quite don't know what's going on.
Well, a couple things. One, Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth were in the broadcast booth. And I don't care whether you like them guys or not, they're very good, very prepared. They were both stunned, shocked, fall out of the chair. They couldn't believe it happened. Now, here's the other thing. It's like when the baseball pitcher throws at the batter. 95% of the time, we know when he did it on purpose, okay, if you know anything about baseball. And then, you can't prove it, though, right? The Raiders were content because here's the big thing I hadn't heard anybody talk about. I'm going to talk about it. What if the Chargers block that field goal, scoop and score, and now the Raiders are out of the playoffs? Mm-hmm. Okay? So when you're trying a long field goal, I know the percentages are low. But what if it's a block, scoop, score, boom? Now, the Raiders were happy for that game to be tied, and the Chargers called that timeout, and then Jacobs rushes for 9 or 10 yards, and their field goal kicker for the Raiders is very good. Boom. Now, I had the Raiders +3, so I like the way it worked out. But you got to fire the coach. I mean, nobody in that locker room or in that building, all the front office people, are going to be able to look at him and say, yeah, you're our coach. No, you're not. You took the team out of the playoffs.
It ended up backfiring. It wasn't what I would have done. My first reaction was, what are you doing? Calling a timeout. Just let it run down and hope that either they're on the same page or they try a really long field goal. I think I would have erred. I think I would have erred on the side of hoping that I was interpreting correctly what the Raiders are doing, and I think they're just kind of running it out. I can't really tell. I'm looking for facial expressions. I'm looking for a signal, somebody to give me something that we're just going to go to tie. But I mean, that's just a lot of assumption. And so I get the understanding and the rationale for the timeout by Staley, and because I get it. He's trying to make the field goal as long as possible. And he put his run stoppers in. They no gain, and all of a sudden a 57-yard field goal. And a 57-yard field goal in the NFL, particularly, is probably depending on the kicker, it's a coin flip at best. It's probably less than a coin flip. So, but a 52-yarder or a 51-yarder is probably 60% make or something like that, 65% make. So I get it. Unfortunately, you put your damn run stoppers in there, and the guy gashes you for a big gainer and a first down.
Well, not only were Al Michaels and Chris Collinsworth stunned, but there were some camera shots to the Chargers bench, and some of them dudes were looking at each other like, he just called a timeout? Because they know what's up. They know what's going on. And they were looking at each other. I mean, again, if you're a San Diego Charger fan, you can't want this guy to coach. More importantly, if you're a player for the Chargers, you don't want this guy who took a playoff opportunity away from you.
Look, it was an unbelievable effort. Look, I am a giant Herbert fan. I mean, he didn't have the best game. He passed over 60 attempts. He was barely over 50%. He didn't have the best game. He had the best game on fourth down. He had the best game on third. I mean, it was amazing how clutch he was. And for a guy that's only in his second year in the league, with playing in a city that nobody gives a shit about their team. I mean, the Rams are the team. The Chargers are like, are they here? The Chargers play here? It's like, yeah, they do. I mean, they need to go back to San Diego, but they're not. But I get it why. But Herbert is the real deal. And, I mean, to let it rip, Tommy, and to play with the conviction and the moxie and the confidence numerous times on fourth down was just impressive. By the way, Stephen Miller wants us to bring up another coaching blunder. It didn't affect the playoffs. So we won't, Joe Judge, the head coach of the Giants, on 3rd and 7 from his own 4-yard line in that game, ran a quarterback sneak, which got everybody losing their mind.
Actually, it was 3rd and 9. I mentioned that earlier. And I mean, they said last week that he would return to the Giants, but I don't know how they can do that now because he didn't play to win the game. I mean, you're paid to win the game in the NFL, period. He didn't try to win.
I mean, I get it. They had Jake Fromm in there, quarterback. They had injuries, and they didn't have a lot of confidence there. But you got to let it rip.
It was a bizarre spinal day in the NFL, to say the very least.
NFL got it right, Tommy. I mean, with the scheduling, it worked out genius. Even though most of the teams had clinched, it's just the most of the teams had already clinched. It just it worked out perfect from a standpoint of teams needing to win for jockey and position and home field and seedings and in and out. I mean, it was absolutely perfect. The best game of the year was the last game we saw. I mean, it was literally amazing that the Pittsburgh Steelers got into the playoffs. How the hell they needed 18 things to happen over the last 3 weeks of the season, and it all came true. And I'm glad Ben Roethlisberger gets to end his career in the playoffs. That's a great storyline.
You know what I got a problem with, Ronnie? A lot of people set these team records for a season with the extra game. And I know the NFL used to be 14 games and it was 60. They need to do what college started doing when they keep the stats, like per game. Like sack leaders in college football, it's how many sacks per game, because in college football, as the schedule goes on, teams have played different amounts of games.
Right.
So I really think the NFL needs to do that, where your yardage per game or whatever it may be, whatever stat, in fairness to those who only played 16 games, and taking it way back to those that only played 14 games.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Tommy, is that in the 60s and 70s they played 14, and then they went up to the 16 games, and then now it's 17 games. I mean, I don't know how many asterisks can you have. That's the only drawback. But
you go per game.
I mean, the game is so different now than it was 20 years ago. The game is so different.
10.
20. Yeah, I mean, just the rules to protect the quarterback, to help the offense. I mean, it's just gigantic. I mean, look, Tom Brady threw for 5,300 yards and led the NFL in touchdowns. So no disrespect to him. Okay, the guy deserves everything. He is the greatest to do it. Let's not even have a goofy discussion about that. But 5,300 yards with 17 games doesn't mean the same with 16, doesn't mean the same with 14. And so it's all a little watered down. It's all a little bit watered down. But nonetheless, I mean, that dude is 44, 45 years old, and he's leading the NFL and all this. I mean, it's wow.
The playoffs should be very interesting, to say the least.
Going into the playoffs, AFC, NFC, who do you like to make the Super Bowl?
Oh, wow. Man, he put a lot of heat on me, huh? Oh. Call me crazy, but I think it'll be the Buccaneers and the Packers in the Super Bowl.
Well, Buccaneers and Packers.
The Buccaneers or the Packers will come out of the NFC.
Gotcha. Yeah.
AFC is a little more wide open. I'll roll the dice a little bit with the Bengals. I got to back up, Ronnie. I got to back up something. A dude last week bet $20 for the Raiders-Chargers game to end in a tie. He'd made $10,000. I bet he don't like the San Diego Coach.
He would have made $10,000 if it would have
ended. He bet the game to end in a tie like 6 days before the game. $10,000 would have got for his 20. But anyway, so I don't know. I'm gonna go with the dark horse, the long shot. Let's see if the Bengals can't sneak in.
I think the Packers are going to win out of the NFC. They get the bye. You got to go through the frozen tundra and everything. I mean, and Aaron Rodgers is literally did not throw an interception in division play. I mean, which is over 30 touchdowns, something like that. It was crazy. But in the last couple of years, he hasn't thrown an interception, like 2-3 years or something. He hasn't thrown an interception in division play. But he's playing great. He seems happy. They're at home. They're going to have the packed house. Nobody wants to go to Green Bay. I don't care. So I'll say that the Packers are going to come out of the NFC. As far as the AFC is concerned, I'm not buying the Titans, although they are getting Henry back at running back, which, but how in shape is he? How good can he be? I think in the playoffs, I'm not going to buy the Titans, although obviously a home field advantage in a bye is just gigantic for anybody. I'm going to go Chiefs. I'm going to go Patrick Mahomes and Chiefs. I just can't bet against that guy. I'm not I think it's going to be the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes. I think they're going to get there and get it done.
Well, we had Mahomes on Sports Shorts Radio the other day, and a lot of people complimented that interview. So, I could see the Chiefs being the one. I'm going to take the long shot Bengals, but I guess reality would say Chiefs, Packers in the Super Bowl, which, if I remember correctly, was the very first Super Bowl.
I'm looking forward to next year. As you mentioned, time of the schedule's out. Saints are going to be playing the Bengals and Joe Burrow at home. They're going to be playing, obviously, all their division teams. And then they're going to be playing the Rams. And this is Chance said this, and I agree, Chance. I still hate the Rams and Niners from my childhood being in the NFC West, and it continues. That's 100% true, Chance. Those two teams broke my heart many a time. Lansford broke my heart in '83 with the barefoot kick to keep Kenny Stabler and Bum Phillips out of the playoffs. And then the 49ers, kept the Dome Patrol from possibly going to a Super Bowl or two. So over the years. So, absolutely. I can't stand those two teams.
The NFL playoffs are going to be really interesting. Of course, meatandpotatoesusa.com will have a bunch of picks for folks in the NFL playoffs.
I mean, McVay had never lost a game as head coach of the Rams when they led at halftime. They had a 14-point lead at home at halftime, and then Matthew Stafford happened. And look, okay, can we give up on him? I mean, because he was going to be the difference. He was going to go from Detroit and go to the Rams and make all the difference in the world and put them over the hump. And he is just not good enough. He's got a big arm. He's a tough guy. He's a great guy in the community. He's a good quarterback. He's not an elite quarterback. And he proved that the second half of the year.
Yeah. No, it's the Rams got
with all those weapons he had.
Well, there's the Rams are still in the playoffs, but man, that it may take a little bit to get over that collapse against the 49ers. Somebody they got to play twice every year. And this, that, and the other, So, again,
you have Kupp and Beckham. Just those two alone. You have Kupp and Beckham. Any quarterback in the NFL would take those guys and win with them. And, Kupp put up great numbers and more catches than ever and all that stuff. But Stafford just can't get it done. Just can't get it done. He didn't get it done in Detroit, and it looks like he's not getting it done in the Rams. And look, they're going to be 1-out. I mean, Cardinals are playing them on Monday Night Football at their place. I mean, the Rams have been atrocious the last 4 or 5 games. It's going to be a great game, but are you buying the Cardinals, I guess, for the first half of the year? Which team's going to show up? But I think the Cardinals are going to win. I think the Rams are just right now a mess mentally. TK, tell us about Meat and Potatoes USA.
Well, we've been hot, and we're going to have a bunch of picks for the national championship game tonight. Meatandpotatoesusa.com. All the picks on the Bama-Georgia game tonight, money back guarantee. So you're doing well, but we have been on fire. I've been on fire on the podcast. So you might want to check out meatandpotatoesusa.com. Picks will be posted early afternoon, 2, 3 o'clock, if not a little bit before that.
Chance brings this up, and it's interesting. Some of the numbers: 6 straight wins for the Niners over the Rams. As good as the Rams have been, the Super Bowls, all that. Niners have been their kryptonite. Another team, Jacksonville Jaguars. They beat the Colts, keep them out of the playoffs. The Colts have not won in Jacksonville since 2014. It's weird how those things happen. How about the Dolphins have been one of the few teams that have had success against the Patriots going back 20 years. They won their share of games against Tom Brady and with or without him there in New England.
We didn't even bring up the Colts. That's the blunder of the day. Yeah. All they got to do is beat Jacksonville and they're in. Ronnie, the Colts have more Pro Bowl players than anybody. They got 7 Pro Bowlers, and they're not in the playoffs. Whoa, how does that happen?
Carson Wentz, you gave up a 1st and 3rd round pick for Carson Wentz. He didn't throw for over 200 yards in the last 5-6 games of the year.
I know, gee, but if you're a Colts fan, you're not real happy today.
They lost on the last second field goal to the Raiders, and then they get trounced by the Jaguars. It wasn't even close. I mean, it was just bizarre. How about Detroit and Jacksonville? They both rise up in the final game of the year, and Detroit wins. Detroit wins, so they don't get the first pick in the draft. Jacksonville ends up getting the first pick in the draft. I mean, it was just like, what are y'all doing? You're supposed to just lay down, take the draft position. Instead, you win to feel good for your Hawaii trip, I guess. I don't know.
Well, betting on the NFL has been tough all year with the COVIDs and who's playing, who's not playing, and the injuries. And then yesterday was just went against the grain in so many different ways, against the consensus, against the trends, but that's why they call it gambling. You might win, you might lose.
All right, speaking of gambling, national championship tonight, Alabama versus Georgia. You know the city of Indianapolis and the Big Ten is pissed. They're playing this game in their backyard with two SEC teams. So the local community not fired up about it, but national attention will be on this game tonight, a rematch of the national championship game from a few years ago when, of course, Bama won in overtime. What's your assessment of this one, and what does Meat and Potatoes USA have going on tonight?
Well, there's going to be several people making picks at meatandpotatoesusa.com. And I'm going to give you a pick right now that won't be one of the picks at meatandpotatoesusa.com. Something you and I have talked about a lot. First half line. I'm going to take Alabama plus 1.5 in the first half. Plus 1.5 first half Alabama. I think that's some value there. I think it's a good wager. And that's not the pick I'm going to post at meatandpotatoesusa.com. There'll be other stuff there. Some of our other consultants are making posts as well. But I think, we've that thing has been very solid. The percentages, the numbers. I'll take Bama plus 1.5 in the first half of tonight's game. And I got to give a shout out North Dakota State. 8 time in the last 11 years they win the national championship. And Ronnie, that makes a discussion for another day. They want to expand the playoffs so more teams will win. Well, you got 16 teams in the FCS playoffs. There used to be 32. So therefore, it's not going to change. And now with the new NIL, did you read the email I sent you about A&M's NIL?
Unbelievable. They've got a $30 million pot of money raised each year for recruiting. And
they're giving every offensive lineman $50,000 to come to A&M. That doesn't mean that you to start. That means you sign with us. So anyway, lots of other discussion with that later. Look at Nookie's question.
Is Sean Payton safe? Absolutely.
Nookie, what time did you get up this morning?
Some people are asking, he said, like he's deferring it to other people so that we don't get
listen to those.
Nookie, those other people that are asking, that's ridiculous. First off, if Sean Payton if he got fired from the Saints, okay, immediately he would be the highest paid coach by a lot in the NFL. It would be a feeding frenzy bidding war for his services, unlike anything we've ever seen. Even more than Bill Belichick, because he's older, he's a McGrudgeon, nobody wants to. Sean Payton would be like, they would fly him around and have parades for him to try to get him to be the head coach in their town.
Well, and Ken Trahan wrote a piece at CrescentCitySports.com. This might have been his greatest coaching year ever. Right. Above the when they went to the Super Bowl because of COVID, because of 4 different quarterbacks. You're on and on and on. Come on. Yeah, Sean Payton should get a raise. And I'll tell you what, if they could, I'm going to defer to him and try to figure out the quarterback situation. And he has to admit that they screwed up with Taysom Hill, the size of that contract, and they got to move on from that. They can't put him out there next year, or then he may be next year's Black Monday list.
Yeah, that's the thing is that, clearly the Taysom Hill, it's got Sean Payton's fingerprint all over it. And then look, the Saints let him do it. Like, you believe in him, you love him, you want him, we'll do it. Mickey Loomis, we'll get him signed. But, look, Sean Payton's not being fired. Does he say, I got a better chance to go win a couple Super Bowls over here at this place with this quarterback or this organization? Yeah, that may be him one day, but he's there as long as he wants to be there. And I'm okay with that. He's the second longest tenured coach behind Belichick. And what he's done on a consistent basis, the guy went 5-0 with Teddy Bridgewater. Bridgewater got a coach, can't get it done, and got 2 coaches fired. Going to get Carolina's coach probably fired, and got Fangio fired. Love Teddy Bridgewater, but he didn't win in either of those other places, and he was healthy. Taysom Hill couldn't quarterback anywhere else. Guy's got a winning record as a starting quarterback in the NFL. So he made. So Trevor Siemian looked good at quarterback with Sean Payton kind of calling the play. So Jameis Winston turned around his career and became the we don't turn the ball over guy and great teammate and all that. So Sean Payton is the real deal. Holyfield. He's a top 3 NFL coach in the NFL.
I agree.
All right, so tonight, Bama and Georgia, you like the first half line. I learned my lesson. I apologize to Nick Saban. I will never pick against him when he's a dog. My God. I took Georgia when he was getting 6.5, I think it was, in the championship game or something like that. I don't know what they did, Tommy. I don't know what Alabama did to flip the switch to turn it around. they looked like the beast we kind of thought they would be against Georgia. The previous 4 or 5 games, they showed no sign of that. Somehow Nick sprinkled his little Nick dust on the team, and they just became amazing. And I apologize, Nick, future Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame inductee. And I will never pick against them. So, yeah, I love that bet. Am I getting points in the first half? Yeah, I'll take that.
Since he's been at Bama, he's 3-0 in rematches during the season.
I mean, look, every stat you can throw out is going to be in his favor.
Yeah, and I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson December, whatever that was, 4-2. When I picked Georgia, bet on Georgia, and I learned my lesson. I'll just leave it at that. Go to meatandpotatoesusa.com.
All right, so we'll get more into it on Wednesday. We'll break down the national championship game. Black Monday for NFL coaches. A number of them have already been fired. We'll talk more about who else is possibly gone. Will Judge be out with the Giants, all that stuff. LSU Hoops keeps rolling on. We'll talk about LSU Hoops on Wednesday. And also, we'll see what players the Saints have that are out there, that the Saints have to sign. Who's gonna be let go from this team, who's gonna be signed, whose contracts are up. We'll get into that on Wednesday as well. For Tommy, I'm Ronnie. Tommy joining us from Tremonti's Meat and Seafood. Where what's the lunch special today?
Chicken fried steaks, lunch special today. Crawfish fettuccine tomorrow. Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Facebook, Instagram. They got catering. Get the office party done. And Ronnie, I walked in today in the wine wall. They got a wine wall full of wine, like stock to the rafters. I mean, you can't hardly put another bottle of wine. Got a big shipment of wine in. Of course, Valentine's Day is around the corner. Bottle of wine might be a good choice for some people. So Tremonti's Meat and Seafood, Jefferson Highway, right down the street from Parkview Baptist Church and School. Check out that lunch special today. Chicken fried steak with a little corn, a little salad. Can't go wrong.
By the way, LSU baseball racking up all kinds of preseason awards and all that. I know that's worthless, but it's still fun. They're going to be fun to watch, and I know we'll talk a lot more baseball in a couple weeks when we have that first pitch banquet.
Real quick, last night Hold the Road Radio had Dale Brown on. Outstanding interview. The conversation he and Coach Bertman had was fantastic.
What did you learn from that conversation? Was there a story or something you didn't know between Dale Brown and Skip? Was there anything talked about?
Nothing jumped off, but the fact what we talked about and I talked about was, Dale Brown, Skip Bertman came to a football school, and Dale Brown came first and said, "Hey, we can make basketball popular." And he hung the purple and gold nets all over the state. And he had his camp and all that. So, and then Skip Bertman came in when nobody cared about baseball. Dale talked about that. How Jim Smith, the football equipment manager, was the baseball coach when Dale Brown first got here. So they talked about all that. And them guys had a vision and a determination and a drive. I think Coach Brown, he said a lot. You got to hear the interview. It's going to be posted on the Hold the Rope Facebook page a little bit later this morning. The first hour of the program, which also has Doug Thompson on, who told some great Skip stories, and then a 22 minutes of interview with Dale Brown. Going to get it posted. You need to check it out, or you can go to the ESPN 1045 website and find the archive there. So it was really good. Coach Brown and Coach Bertman were as sharp as ever, and I think people would enjoy that interview. And of course, he was humbled by the court being named after him and seeing all his players and things that were there. And you were there, Ronnie. I was not. It was a cool interview. I'm going to recommend it highly to people.
Well, it's funny, completely honest, Dale and Skip, as good a confidants they were, and they bounced a lot of ideas off each other. And Dale really helped Skip and kind of gave him some info on the speaking circuit and all that, and how to do that, because Dale was doing it first. But they were competitors, man, and they didn't always get along. Well,
here's another thing. You asked me about a story. Dale Brown told a story how Ben McDonald's dad and Ben came to see Coach Brown. And, because Ben got the last rebound in the game that sent them to the regionals or something. So he thought Ben was in. Ben's daddy basically was saying, "Hey, well, you think he's got a better chance to play baseball or to play basketball?" And Coach Brown said baseball, and he talked to Skip, and they got all about. Same thing with Lyle Mouton, a teammate of yours, who also played basketball for Dale Brown, Russ
Springer played basketball one year for Dale Brown.
So it was it was quite interesting, and
Mhm.
especially if Ronnie, we're of the age we remember all that. We remember Ricky Blanton. We remember the final. I remember the Final Four in '81, the Final Four in '86. And some of you younger folks, you need to check it out. He talked a lot about John Wooden being his mentor and all that stuff. So it's a cool interview. It's worth your time to play it while you're riding down the highway or sitting around the house this evening.
Two legends, man. Dale 86, Skip
No,
83.
that's what I'm looking at Kendall. Like, what the hell are we doing here? We got Dale Brown and Skip Burton here.
I'm just shocked that you only had Dale on for 2 segments. I mean, I would have probably turned it loose and let them go a little longer.
Well, Ronnie, as you know, we got that hard out at the top of the hour when we do Sports Shorts Radio or Hold the Rope Radio. We missed that. Because Dale wanted to tell another story, and Skip's like, we don't have time.
Right. All right, we'll be back Wednesday morning for more Sports Shorts Daily, presented by LeBear's Casino. Great place to go watch the national championship game tonight is at the Stadium Sports Bar and Grill at LeBear's. And of course, you can place those bets at the sportsbook 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Go place those bets at the sportsbook inside LeBear's. Going to be a lot of money tonight. Can you believe Alabama's in a national championship game and they're an underdog? I mean, that's all you need to know. That's all you need to know. All right, we'll be back Wednesday. We'll talk to you then, everybody. Until then, have a good one. Thanks for watching, and please hit that like and share button. Like and share.
Like and share.